And welcome in. Some technical difficulties to get going, but Lansing is in the semifinal against Kapaun Mount Carmel from Wichita. The Crusaders versus the Lansing Lions. And the Lions get it inside to Chris Jones. Now Schneider driving is rejected here in the opening moments of the first quarter. I'm Ian McLean, joined by Chad Rader at the Kansas Expo Center in Topeka. Crusaders have the basketball. And a scoreless game in the first quarter. Ball is in the hands of Josh Wandra. Beg your pardon, Max Hagan. And now a ball in the backcourt is recovered by the Crusaders as they will reset in the half-court offense. Stephen Young controls the basketball and puts it in the corner. A shot on the way from the Crusaders. It is up and it is good. And the Crusaders have a 2-0 lead.
The big storyline in this game will be the all-around versatility of the shorter Crusaders versus the much taller Lansing Lions. In fact, Mike Miller does not start tonight, as Joe Schneider does get the starting nod. And the rebound miss, three misses by Lansing, another one by Chris Jones, and good.
Chris Jones with the persistence, and it pays off as Jones able to put one up and in and tie the basketball game at 2 apiece. 6:40 to go in the first quarter. Stephen Young passes it over on the wing, and Clay Young playing defense for the Lions, and a ball passed out of bounds. Miscommunication between the Crusaders. Looks like Toby Baxter was in the area but had vacated too soon, and it's a turnover against the team in blue, Kapaun Mount Carmel.
Coach Briggs had wondered what kind of different defenses that the Crusaders would throw at them, and we're seeing a full court press early on by the much shorter Crusaders.
Now a three on the way from Lucas Mine is no good, and a loose ball pulled down by the Crusaders, but they might have stepped out of bounds. That's Nick Cook. Nick Cook stepped on the out-of-bounds line on the far side, right in front of the scorer's table, and it's a turnover. Ball will go back to Lansing. Schneider brings the ball up the floor and has to pick up his dribble. Tight defense played by Michael Martin. Now a foul. They're going to call Martin, who tried to take the ball away from Schneider. And beg your pardon, it looks like they're going to get an offensive foul on Lansing.
Coach Briggs has had 2 injury concerns coming into this game. Of course, Schneider with his season-long back troubles as he leaves the game. But Bailey, who comes in after playing only 49 seconds yesterday, but here he comes into the game, a good sign for the Lansing Lions.
It's a 2-2 game. Early action of the first quarter in the 5A state semifinal. Crusaders working the ball on the outside, but can't get much going here in the half-court offense. A 2-3 zone being applied by Lansing. Now a shot up from the outside is good. The Crusaders hit one, and they lead 5-2.
Michael Martin is the Crusaders' leading scorer. He has 11.5 points per game this season, and he hit 2 threes in the sub-state semifinal. But Isaiah Grice with a 3 right back at him.
Isaiah Grice with the response, as you pointed out, Chad, ties the game at 5 apiece. And a long 3, and here he's got a steal, but he also makes the mistake of going out of bounds, and that will bring in substitutions for the Crusaders. They bring in number 4, Jeremy Lichtig, and number 2, Brandon Hollings, both juniors. And Michael Martin and Nick Cook come out of the game. Martin had 12 points in the game against Aquinas, a 48-44 win. A game in which the Crusaders got off to a hot start. They had a 20-point first quarter, but then in the second and third quarters mustered only a combined 11 points.
A couple flustered possessions here by the Crusaders, who like to spread the floor. In their 3 wins here on the way to Topeka, they haven't allowed an opponent 50 points, but their high so far is 54. Coach Briggs was concerned about their spreading the floor and dribble drive, and that's obviously their plan of attack so far that we've seen.
Khalil Bailey is into the game. He was injured in the first game. But is seeing action here. He passes it to Grice, now gets it back at the top of the key, dribbles once, picks it up, finds Mine in the corner. Now Mine tries to dump it off, but it's taken away. The Crusaders have it, and here they come in transition. It's controlled by Toby Baxter. Baxter all alone takes a shot over Michael Miller. No good. Rebound to the Crusaders. Down low. A foul and a basket. Jeremy Lichtig working on the glass. Miller had to come out and contest the shot and was possibly out of position. That opened up the post area for Jeremy Lichtig, and he takes advantage. It's now a 7-5 game. Mount Carmel on top, and they have a chance at an old-fashioned three-point play. Free throw no good. Rebounded by Eddie Hunt. Bounce pass to Lucas Mine, who's got it across midcourt. And they get it to Grice on the far side on the wing. Beg your pardon, Khalil Bailey. Bailey has to pick up his dribble, finds Mine in the corner for an open look. It's good. Lucas Mine hits the three, and Lansing has an 8-7 lead halfway through the first quarter.
It's nice for Lansing to get 2 threes early on because they have the big guys inside, but that's been a concern for obviously the matchup problems for Crusaders. That just opens up the inside game for Lansing.
Now a runner on the way, and it drops. Stephen Young, the sophomore, gets that one to fall. Contact, but no call. And it's a 1-point game. The Lions have the ball, but they are down. Now Grice puts up a three. It's short. Rebound to Miller, who turns around, puts it up, and gets it to drop. Miller scored in double digits for just the 5th time this season in the first game against Liberal. And he's got his first points of the game right there. 10-9, Lansing has the lead as they play defense. Brandon Hollings dribbling left to right, now passes it into the corner. It's in the hands of Stephen Young. Young working against Mine, gets past him, dumps it off inside. Shot up, and it's good. That's Lichtig. Lichtig now with 4 points.
Lichtig's really the only really inside scoring threat for the Crusaders, but he's got off to a nice start, not afraid of the big trees of Lansing so far.
And big trees they be, as Eddie Hunt and Michael Miller are both in the game.
If you want a similar reference to KU Missouri matchups, kind of what we're looking at here. Guards versus post guys is a nice shot runner there. Pull-up jumper from Isaiah Grice.
Isaiah Grice gets airborne, shoots it over everybody, and Lansing is back on top in what so far, Chad, has been a seesaw battle.
Yeah, if you for everybody that paid their admission here, they are getting a good one here early.
Lichtig again down low, too strong on this one. He grabs the rebound away from Hunt, and now Miller able to pull it down for the Lions, but a good effort from the junior Lichtig. Now down low, looks like it was Khalil Bailey, and he's fouled on the attempt, and he will go to the free throw line with Lansing leading 12-11. 2:03 to go in the first quarter.
Much like the KU Missouri matchups that we've seen this year to go to a higher level for some fans, it was a matter of which one would give, with the versatility of the Crusaders get the Lions, or would the trees of Lansing finally wear down the Crusaders. Lichtig on that last possession looked a little overwhelmed inside, and we'll have to see how that lasts throughout the day.
Bailey cannot connect on his first attempt. And we get a series of substitutions for both teams. Checking into the game for the first time is Timmy Hamilton for Mount Carmel. Also Joe Schneider back in, along with Clay Young for the Lions. Bailey hits the second, and the Lions now lead by 2. And with that, Miller subs out for Chris Jones. On the Lansing side, the Lions in white lead 13-11. And now Bailey will apply some full court pressure as Brandon Hollings brings it up. Hollings able to get by Bailey for a moment, passes it off to Michael Martin. Martin sizes up Schneider. Now passes a shot up from the corner, is short. Rebound to Clay Young. Joe Schneider pulls up for 3. Rims in and out, and a long rebound to Timmy Hamilton. And here come the Crusaders. Hollings gets some dribble penetration. Hamilton goes up strong, but not strong enough. Rejected by Chris Jones, and then he gets it back and draws the foul. Chris Jones a little bit too imposing. Picks up the foul, and Hamilton will shoot a pair.
Looks like Coach Churn is countering with a wide body there with Timmy Hamilton, who has been toggling the season between JV and varsity. But, of course, here he gets to get a lot of time here part of the night against the bigger Lions, who Coach Churn compared to Wichita East in the City League down in Wichita, as the bigger Lions are thicker, and he's bringing in Hamilton here early on.
Khalil Bailey takes a seat on the bench. Hamilton misses the first but hits the second, and it's down to just a 1-point game once again. Don't have the exact count, but we've seen at least 5, maybe even 6 lead changes. Lansing, though, has a chance to extend their lead. They get it into the hands of Clay Young and now swing it back around to Schneider. Schneider inside to Miller, who took just a brief break on the bench, and now he'll get it into the hands of Grice. Grice with 5 already. Passes it off, and we're under a minute to go. Lions lead by 1. Schneider looks to extend that and does. Gets into the paint and drops the basket. 15-12, Lions on top.
That concerns the back injuries this year, but he drove a lot on dribble drive last night again, or 2 nights ago, and today a nice take by Schneider.
Now Hollings right to left, really faked out Grice, and with a nice finish, $1 million move and an equivalent on the shot. Here comes Grice, baseline, got contact, no call. Miller with the rebound, right hand, no good. Loose ball, and the Lions can't get it. Here come the Crusaders. It's a 2-on-2 break. Martin thought about pulling up, instead takes it in, and one. Michael Martin with the hesitation on Joe Schneider, and KMC goes back in front by a point.
That is the Crusaders' go-to guy if there is one. He certainly has looked that way early on here, having no fear, taking it on in. Another conventional three-point play attempt here by Martin.
Nick Cook checks into the game. Out goes Lichtig, and Martin puts up the free throw. Hits every part of the basket and finally drops through, and we have 20 seconds left in the first quarter. And once again, the Crusaders, as they had done in the first round, have put together a nice first quarter in terms of scoring, but the Lions have matched it almost step for step, though they trail by 2 points. It's Lucas Mine working on Martin. Mine goes left, now right. Tight defense. Mine looking for daylight. Finally gets to the baseline, puts up a floater, and he hit it. Banks it in off the glass. Shot at the buzzer. On the way, but not even close. A good effort, though, from Martin. And at the end of one, Lansing 17. And Mount Carmel, the Crusaders, also have 17 points.
Citizens National Bank. Locations with 24-hour ATMs in Leavenworth and Lansing, as well as online banking. Citizens is a proud sponsor of both Leavenworth and Lansing Gamecast this season. Citizens National Bank, member FDIC.
So, action-packed first quarter. The Lions able to roll through the first round. Of course, the Crusaders had a narrow victory over St. Thomas Aquinas, just a 4-point win there, and they really struggled at certain points in the game. So they're a bit more tested, if you will, but the Lions, of course, have put together a really stellar regular season, so they know what it takes to win. But have you any concerns, Chad, that maybe because of the sort of the way that they're able to cruise to the first round, the Lions that is, maybe they don't quite have what it takes here, or maybe they're not quite prepared for what they're getting from Mount Carmel?
You see a lot of times in tournament play, obviously we all reference the NCAA tournament, and you've seen that team get that 30-point blowout. Everybody goes gonzo over how much they roll their opponent. The other team in the second round had a tight one. Then they get into the next round against each other, and it turns out maybe there's overconfidence, maybe just the fact of it was too easy, but the top dog finds themselves in a dogfight, and sometimes on the losing end of it.
A 17-all tie, and the Crusaders have the basketball. It's Hollings going inside, puts one up, and a whistle, but they're going to call him for the charge. Credit Michael Miller for standing in there and taking the contact and establishing solid defensive position.
We're not really seeing any problems here by Miller. He's getting up and down the court, and it has caused some problems inside for the Crusaders. We're going to have to see, again, how this wears down the Crusaders, or if the big trees do not affect them at all.
So Lansing has the ball and a chance to go back in front. Young passes inside to Miller, puts up the right hand, and it drops. Mike Miller gets good position and finishes with a strong move. 19-17 Lansing. Hollings once again getting penetration, finds Martin for three. It's good. And the Lions are going to have to bottle up Hollings and Martin, because right now the penetration and the hot hand are really hurting them.
If there's a guy you need to stay glued on today, it is Martin. I do not know how they lost him there, though.
Now Mine open for three, can't hit. Young couldn't get the rebound. It's ripped down by Timmy Hamilton. And the Crusaders have a 1-point lead and the ball. Martin has it now, being defended by Mine. Dribbles to his right, picks it up, and passes off to an open Nick Cook down low, and the help defense was too late as Cook just laid it up and in, and he'll get a chance once again at a three-point play. This will be the third time that Mount Carmel has made a basket and been fouled.
You talked earlier about the strength of schedule possibly for Mount Carmel being a lot stronger than Lansing's, and probably such as so as they play all the city teams down in Wichita. They entered with a 13-9 record into this tournament. Not really overwhelming, but playing those tough teams in and out every night. 6As along with 5As and some very athletic teams down there. They're not afraid to back down here.
And it's now a 4-point game. It's the biggest lead for Mount Carmel. 7 and 8 in the City League this year. The Lions have it, and they need to find a response. Eddie Hunt sets a screen. Bailey goes the other way. Almost lost the dribble, but able to keep it. Now they go to Miller in the corner. 6.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. 23-19, Lansing trails. Eddie Hunt in the post. Pass it to Grice. A nice give and go there. Isaiah Grice moving without the basketball. Has scored once again and cut the lead to 2.
Such great passing there by the big man, and they have to have that. They can roll some plays there just like that from Eddie Hunt to Grice, and that needs great passing and teamwork by the big man.
The only sophomore on the team, number 11, Stephen Young, passes it off to Hollings. Now Martin pump fake, goes in the lane, pulls up, shot up. No good. Rebound to Eddie Hunt.
Even though he missed it there, Martin has been a challenge off his dribble drives and pull-ups against the Lions.
Gave himself a good look. Now Bailey takes it inside, puts one up, and can't connect. Martin with the rebound, spins around Lucas Mine, and in transition, going to challenge Eddie Hunt. Gets the shot up, no good. Ball tapped around. Martin able to come down with it. Now Hollings ball fake, and he tries to go inside, but good defense by Grice. Now a move, spin move by Toby Baxter's no good. And here come the Lions. Grice going to put up the three, no good. Miller with the rebound and the reverse layup. Mike Miller puts it in and ties the game. Boy, the poise and body control of Mike Miller has been a huge positive for the Lions here in the state tournament.
Here's a kid that's averaged just under 6 points for the whole season, but yesterday 15 points, 6 points already for the big man.
Now Hollings goes inside. Defense for the Lions lacking there as Hollings takes it all the way to the rack and lays it up, no problem. 25-23, the Lions trail, and Rob Briggs wants a timeout.
The Crusaders are just driving in too easy. Martin has really caused a lot of fits, and as well as Hollings as well, and Lansing has to figure out an answer for this. $5 foot-long subs are back at Mr. Good Sense. 7 great subs to choose from. Come see what fresh really is at Mr. Good Sense.
And so thanks for joining us once again on A10varsity.com. I'm Ian McLean, joined by Chad Rader. Cap and Mount Carmel leads Lansing 25-23. 5 minutes to go in the first half. It was tied 17-all at the end of the first quarter. And Chad, we're seeing a lot of really good offensive execution from both teams, but individually, what do these teams have to do to try and slow the other down?
Well, they got to really try to figure out Martin. I'm already putting him on my all-tournament team. I mean, he only averages 11.5 coming in, but looks like on any given night, this kid can drop in 20, 25. What do you think, Ian?
I have to agree. Martin's looked very impressive. I mean, he's got the jump shot, but he's also got the handles to take it inside and finish strong at the hoop. But right now, the Lions have it. They trail by 2, and they get it in the hands of Devarian Sieg here on the near side. Dribbles to his left and finds Lucas Mine, who tries to fake out Martin, but with little effect. Now Eddie Hunt, ball above his head, looking for a teammate, can't find anybody, finally finds Lucas Mine. Grice puts up a contested 3 from the corner, close but no cigar, and here come the Crusaders the other way. It's Hollings on Devarian Sieg. We'll see if this defensive matchup pays dividends for the Lions. Sieg with the tough assignment of staying on Hollings. He's been very good at getting to the hoop early on here in this game.
Grice is on Martin, and we almost saw him jump the pass there. We'll have to see how that continues here as we keep playing.
Stephen Young tried to reverse it to the other side, but A little bit too long of a pass and telegraphed it a bit. Now an inbound pass over the head of everybody to Michael Martin on the post, and he gets the shot up and draws the foul. Isaiah Grice pleading with the official that Martin pushed off, but nevertheless he went airborne on the fake, and then contact was made. So Martin will go to the free throw line for a pair. And the Lions at this point trail 25-23. And more troublesome at this point is that is their 6th team foul.
Grice was pretty aggressive there. He took a swipe at the ball, which with Martin probably not going to come out winning on that one. And sure enough, he got up in the air and just got called for the foul, which he had a couple maybe fouls earlier he could have called on that possession too.
Only the first foul on Grice, so no immediate trouble for him. Martin misses the first and hits the second. It's a 3-point lead, 26-23. Halfway through the second quarter. Mine dribbles right, can't get penetration, finds Grice, working on Stephen Young. Chris Jones posts up, gets the ball inside, goes baseline, but they call him for the travel, saying that he moved that pivot foot trying to get around the defender, and it's a turnover on Lansing.
Lansing really has to get some type of inside game going. They have some off rebounds, but it hasn't really dominated inside, just straight off their offense here. Timeout here by the Crusaders.
Head coach John Chern III calls a timeout as it looks like they were nearing what would have been a 5-second call. So under 4 minutes to go, once again, the Crusaders lead the Lions 26-23.
Zek Ford has been a fixture in Leavenworth County for decades. Derek and Dustin Zek are the 3rd generation of Zeks serving Leavenworth and Kansas City car shoppers. Their goal is to make you feel comfortable while you are purchasing your new and pre-owned vehicle. Stop by anytime at 4501 Main Street or shop online 24/7 at dzford.com.
Teams come out of the huddles, and the Crusaders have looked very good so far, mainly on the offensive end. Neither team has had a whole lot of resistance on defense, not to say that they haven't been playing hard, but they've been executing at a pretty high level. But things have slowed down a bit here in the second quarter after each team posted 17 points in the first frame. Now full court pressure from the Lions. It's in the hands of Hollings. He's working on Devarian Sieg. Does get it across the midcourt line in time. And now he goes to work, dribbling to his right, picks it up, and finds Toby Baxter, who gets it in the paint, kicks it out. A three-pointer on the way from Young. No good. Rebound, Eddie Hunt.
As you discussed on offense, both teams are shooting over 50% right at 50% for the game. 8-16 for the Crusaders, 8-14 for the Lions.
Lucas Mine passes over to Eddie Hunt, and now over the top to Chris Jones. Not a good pass that time by Eddie Hunt, who earlier in the season had actually a couple of gems as far as passing the basketball against Baser Linwood, but not able to replicate that there. It's a turnover, and once again full court pressure from Lansing, really trying to dial up the intensity and force some mistakes.
Yeah, and excuse me, I'm sorry. And I also think it's more just to kind of wear them down as the game goes, as Martin pulls another jumper now. 14 points now for Martin.
Over the extended arm of Isaiah Grice. No small feat shooting over Isaiah. He's got a pretty good wingspan, so a nice shot from Martin. And a 4-point lead. Here comes Stephen Young off the steal all the way to the basket. And the Crusaders now have a 7-point lead. Of course, it's the largest lead of the game. Lansing needs to stem the tide. They need to find a basket. Stephen Young falls down over on the wing. Isaiah Grice was working against him, and as you can hear the boos coming from behind us, the Mount Carmel faithful didn't like that call, thought that it was an offensive foul on Isaiah Grice, but the official disagreed. Actually, the call didn't come until it looks like Stephen Young, who was on the ground, actually try to trip up and grab the legs of Isaiah Grice.
And he looked like he looked to the ref to plead for a foul, and instead pleaded for a foul on himself.
Now a shot up off the glass from Clay Young, no good. Caught it off the inbounds pass and can't get the basket. They've taken a couple of players out of the game. Now Grice blocks it from behind. A nice recovery by Grice after letting Braden Hollings get by him. Knocks it out of bounds. It will stay with Mount Carmel. Michael Martin with a nice move once again. This time can't connect. Khalil Bailey pulls down the rebound, and here come the Lions once again down by 7 points, needing a basket. the number 1 seed in the 5A state tournament. Bailey working on Baxter, finds Grice. Grice going to put up the shot. Can't hit. It was online, but a little bit short. And now what appeared to be a no-look pass from Baxter is a little bit too strong for Lichtig, and it goes out of bounds. Miller had fallen down on the play, and you can hear the groans behind us. Not entirely sure what the Carmel fans wanted there, but it is a turnover, and Lansing trailing by 7 brings Joe Schneider back into the game.
Grice, the gunner for Lansing, averages over 11 shots a game. He has over 21 points his last 8 games, but he is 1 for 5 from three-point range here. They're going to probably need a couple of those to start dropping here for the Lions to shave this lead down.
They've had good rotation and generally have been online, so perhaps he just needs to stick with it. Now they got Schneider working. He takes it inside, blocked from behind by Lichtig. Young goes up strong, draws the foul, but can't finish the basket. And Clay Young will go to the free throw line.
That's just the first foul on Martin, so the Crusaders are definitely in good shape team-wise on fouls with only 4, and only 1 on Martin.
For the Lions, concerns with foul trouble. As Clay Young misses the first, he's got 2 fouls, and Joe Schneider also has 2 fouls in limited action. 2 players that you want on the floor if you're Lansing. 7-point game, and Young cuts it down to 6. 30-24, a minute and a half remaining in the first half. Michael Martin brings it up against Lucas Mine. Finds Toby Baxter, defended by Khalil Bailey. Now Lichtig has to move further into the backcourt than he would have liked to catch that, and gets it to Martin, who puts up a shot over Lucas Mine and hit it. It's a 3-pointer, and Michael Martin is a man on fire.
You talk about feeling it. 17 points already for Martin, 3 3-pointers.
He has over half of the points for the team from Wichita, and here's Young with a nice roll from the basket, a fortuitous little spin on that basketball as it hit the front iron and actually rolled forward into the hoop. So it's now 33-26, 45 seconds to go. The Lions would like to get the ball back and get a basket before halftime, but first they got to stop number 5, Michael Martin.
It looks like the Crusaders are definitely content with just trying to run out this clock and get a last shot, which is impressive with 40 seconds left. And Martin may not wait for that. He may just take it on in here early.
And Michael Martin putting on a show against Lucas Mine. Mine doing his best to stay in front of him. And now Rod Briggs yells to back off.
The way Martin's shooting, he may think he's open right there and pop it.
Now he passes. He's got 5 seconds to get it to Toby Baxter. Penetration, and they call a foul. That's going to put Baxter on the free throw line. Khalil Bailey tried to tie him up, got a hand on the ball, but also got a bit of his arm.
That's the last thing Lansing needed to do. They looked a little flustered. They ran it down maybe a little bit too far, but then Lansing bails him out there with a foul, and he gets to shoot 1-on-1 here.
Well, and how about the 20 seconds or so where Michael Martin was just burning clock and really putting on a show? He could have gone by Lucas Mine a couple of different times, but in the interest of running down the clock, he didn't. So at this point, the Crusaders are kind of trying to play games and get inside the head of the Lions. The Lions have to be resilient. Missed free throw and a charge called. Joe Schneider absorbs the impact of big Timmy Hamilton, the 6'3" forward, rolls over Joe Schneider. And you mentioned his back problems. That's a bit of a concern, but he looks fine. And with 2 seconds left, the Lions will try and get a shot off before the end of half. It'll be Clay Young to inbound. Young looking deep, finds Lucas Mine. Dribble. He's going to put up the shot from half court. Looked good for a moment, but it is offline. And the sportsmanship in full effect from the crowd behind us as they chant air ball on an attempt from half court. Classy fans, and it's 33-26. The Lansing Lions, the number 1 seed, trail Kapaun Mount Carmel, the number 4 seed, here in the semifinal round of the 5A state tournament.
Unfortunately, for Lions fans, the Crusaders are used to playing games in the 40s and 50s, and Now they have a 7-point lead here at a half. As we've seen, they're willing to spread the floor. As we just saw, they're willing to run off 45 seconds on a possession. So Lansing does find themselves down a bit. I think what Lansing might need to do is obviously apply more full court pressure and see if they can kind of wear down the Crusaders, as Lansing does have a lot of depth on this team. Maybe that might be the angle they have to take here coming out in the second half.
It's looking to me, Chad, like maybe the Lions, not that they don't value every possession, but they really do have to get it in their head that they've got to try their best not only to get a good look, but to really crash the boards and create those second chances, because we've seen that when Michael Miller is able to get good position on the offensive glass, he's had a really good rate of efficiency as far as putting the ball in the hoop. And that's going to be important. If he can get more rebounds along with Chris Jones and Eddie Hunt and get some easy baskets off the offensive glass, that's going to help get them back in this game.
Yeah, they've been down before a few times this year and come back and won. We know about the 1-point thriller at Vassar Linwood and the game that you called the double overtime game against Bonner Springs, in which I believe Lansing was nearly down double digits in that game. But of course, that game was at home. As you mentioned, it looks like Lansing has been content with coming down in a couple passes and tossing up some threes, whereas the Crusaders take their time on offense, work it around, take advantage of the matchups on either on the dribble drive or drive on in and make something happen. So Lansing might need to be a little bit more patient on offense and work it around and find themselves some matchup problems themselves inside.
Well, and let's not forget that at this point, it's a 7-point game, and really the Crusaders have played well for the most part, but if not for the effort of Michael Martin, this game would be in favor of Lansing right now. Martin with 17 first half points on 6 of 9 shooting, 3 of 3 from three-point range. You got to figure that although he looks like a great shooter, nobody can maintain that sort of breakneck pace, and he's going to cool down at some point, or at least you hope so if you're the Lions.
Either his 11.5 points per game is because of the competition at Wichita and playing in the Wichita City League there with some athletes that we all know around the state, or this is just one of those nights for him. And so far, at least, it's one of those halves that no matter what you do, he's just tossing them in there from 20 off the pull-up. It doesn't matter. Martin has been red hot, but as you said, can he keep this up? If you're a Lions fan, you hope not. If you're a Crusaders fan, keep gunning it, Michael Martin. Keep gunning it.
All right, so Lions fans will hope that Isaiah Grice can find the stroke from range. He's just 1 of 5 from 3. And further on that point, Michael Miller, 3 of 3 from the field and has 3 offensive rebounds. So he's really done a good job of getting the ball in the post and then finishing at the basket. And that's going to be something they need to get back to. Most of his points came in the first quarter when it was a tie game, and the Lions has got away from that a bit in the second quarter.
I really kind of came into this game thinking Chris Jones would be a big factor. Yesterday, 6 blocks in the game, a season high. He has 5 blocks in 2 other attempts. And if Lansing was going to go small, would they go with the athletic Jones as mainly their big guy and run 4 smaller players to keep up with the Crusaders? But Jones really hasn't been a factor early on. He kind of got a couple rebounds and such against the Crusaders, but since then has been very quiet. Miller has been in, had some nice buckets, and Eddie Hunt's been playing a lot of time too, but they really haven't bodied up or intimidated the Crusaders to this point. We are going to go to the Lions Den with Brian Reese, as we have had a lot of Lansing individuals and businesses who have stepped up during this state tournament run for the Lansing Lions and have contributed. And Brian Reese is going to go ahead and let everybody know who has contributed to the Lions Den.
All right. Chad. Thanks a lot. Tough game so far. Stay tight. I have a feeling that Isaiah Grice is going to get hot here in the second half and bring the Lions back into this game. They got a tough point guard that's playing exceptional right now, shooting great for Kapaun. So hang tight. We're coming back. I would like to introduce the Lions Den just to say thank you again for all your support. We just threw this out on Facebook just to see what would happen. And again, the Lions fans come through. And just wanted to say thanks again. Also, thanks to Chad and 810 Varsity for doing everything they do. Yeah, we appreciate it. Lions Den, let's go. Damon Heiniger, thank you. Rich and Lori Holden. Brian Harris. Gordon and Lois Mine with Reese and Nichols. a Deer Place Child Care Center, Tom and Andy Pulowski, Stacy Klingsley, co-owner of Greenleaf Nutrition, Linda Schoenfelder, Keller Williams Legacy Partners, Linda Larison, supporter of local athletics, Jody Knapp, realtor, Coldwell Banker Riley & Sons, Sally Estes, Coldwell Banker Riley & Sons, David Till, Coldwell Banker Riley & Sons, Brian and Lisa Reese, Coldwell Banker Riley & Sons, Dr. Jolie Crow with Element Clinic, Tom and Teresa Young, Tim Lee, Lee Kahn and Casey Shirley with Shirley Real Estate, Farm Bureau Financial, the Dan Wilcott Agency, Karen Clark, Mortgage Banker at the Federal Savings Bank, Ben and Hillary Anderson with Leavenworth Rentals, Riley Insurance, Calvin and Marlene Grafe, Trent Schneider, Schneider Home Inspections, Jake Rexroth, American Lawn and Fence, Tricia Mills, Broncatella, Jason Colleen with Colleen Concrete, Bob and Anna Van, Sharon Wasserman Green, the Bolesky family, Lowell and Judy Hurt, Brian and Christina Dudley, Trent Peter Agency, American Family Insurance, Lee Hofflinger, Chad Rader with 810 Varsity. Thanks again. Back to the guys.
Welcome back here to Topeka. After Brian Reese read off the Lions Den contributors, and speaking of those, one of them was Young Sign Company. Whether indoor or outdoor signage, design or printing, Young Sign Company has been the staple of quality signage in eastern Kansas since '78. In fact, when 810 Varsity wanted banners printed, there was only one call to make. Check out Young Sign Company online at youngsigncompany.com or call 913-651-5432. 651-5432. Tracy Lansing Photography provides fun, on-site photography for individuals, families, teams, and casual events. Call 913-306-4018 or find us on Facebook, Tracy Lansing Photography. Mention 810 Varsity and book your first session at half price. Get all your hometown and Leavenworth County news with the Leavenworth Times. And the Leavenworth Times has partnered with 810 Varsity, making it easier for all fans and families of Leavenworth and Lansing high school sports to watch games online. Call for a subscription today or visit leavenworthtimes.com today.
And we're about 2 minutes away from resuming play here at the Kansas Expo Center. As you can see on your screen, Kapaun Mount Carmel leading 33-26. Thanks in part to the heroic efforts from Michael Martin. Martin with 17 points in the first half, shooting the ball over 50% and is perfect from three-point range. Lions fans have to wonder if that kind of torrid pace can continue, as of course their season hangs in the balance. The winner of this game will play the winner of the next game here from the Expo Center between Harmon and Bishop Carroll. Both of those teams achieved upsets in the quarterfinal round over teams that were seeded higher than. Bishop Carroll is a 7 seed and Harmon the 6 seed, so these two teams right here matching up in what virtually could be a championship game if you go by seeding. Right now the Lions on the ropes have got one half to overcome a 7-point deficit.
For those Call Valley League fans interested in a team down the road, Baser Linwood had a nice thrilling second half comeback to inspire maybe a Lansing comeback here yesterday in the first round, but today against the number 1 undefeated Pratt Greenbacks, the mighty Bobcats with 1:10 left in the first half trail 27-17 as Michael Swank, who poured in 41 last night for a state record, has 15 here. And we're kind of seeing that same performance here from Michael Martin of the Crusaders.
As you mentioned, those Greenbacks undefeated. They continue to roll this season.
Yeah, they're around the Wichita area too, so these Wichita teams are posing a little trouble for the KVL teams as we speak.
We'll see if Lansing can buck that trend here as the buzzer sounds, and we are ready to begin the second half. Isaiah Grice to inbound. Max Hagan applying some pressure right in front of his face.
And I think there's a little friendly smack talk there between the two of them. Maybe not so much friendly, just some smack talk.
Grice working hard, gets the ball up top and puts up a three. He can't hit it. Rebound to Michael Martin. Isaiah Grice continues to struggle from outside, but if anyone's going to pull the Lions out of this hole, it's going to be Isaiah. He's got to continue to shoot. Stephen Young has it, the sophomore, the only underclassman on this team. Now Isaiah with a steal. Here he comes the other way, contested, able to lay it up. Good body control. Absorbed some contact from Young. No whistle, but Isaiah gets the basket. It's down to a 5-point game.
They really needed a real quick, easy basket there. Grice missed on the first one, especially after the little talk there by Hagan to inbound the ball. But he comes back with a steal. Easy bucket. Lansing now back within striking distance.
Now here's the guy to keep your eye on. Michael Miller. Beg your pardon. Martin.
Too many M's there.
Too many M's. Miller of the Lions is on the bench currently. Chris Jones in the game. But Michael Martin, being defended by Joe Schneider, has the ball once again near midcourt. He's going to work on Schneider. Right to left, pulls up for three. Can't hit this one. First time he's missed from outside all game.
Here's what we talked about earlier. They're willing to take a long time with a possession. And as you know, to Kim Martin keep up the second half, as he did with the first, we're going to find out. He'll miss starting out right away.
Grice looking for someone to pass to, has to dribble out and finds mine. Now Schneider goes against Martin, gets inside, tries to kick it out with the ball taken away, and the Crusaders come up with a steal.
Nice try there by the Lions, who took a little more time there and got a drive that Schneider had something going, but got a little overwhelmed inside.
Mine defends Stephen Young, and they try to enter it inside, but it's stolen away by Clay Young. That pass was intended for Nick Cook, who could not keep Clay Young at bay. Now Isaiah Grice moves right, has to pick up his dribble, looks for a teammate. Ball on the floor. Lucas Mine's going to pull up from 12. He can't hit it, too strong. Lucas Mine found himself all alone there and was a little bit rattled. Here comes Baxter for Mount Carmel. Now it's in the hands of Martin, who takes a screen from Hagan. And the switch is back, and now a pull-up for Baxter, and it rattles in. A soft touch hits the front of the rim, and then bounces in off the backboard. Back to a 7-point game, 35-28. And Michael Martin has been a terror. He just cannot give Joe Schneider a break as he knocks out of bounds. Fortunately, though, the ball will stay with Lansing.
Whoever Martin has been on today has been just sealed and clamped down, and Schneider is starting to look a little overwhelmed there in the last two possessions.
Nevertheless, they will stick with Schneider as the point guard, and he will dribble left and works hard against Martin. Picks up the dribble, finds Lucas Mine at the top of the key. Mine inside, overwhelmed by the trees, but draws the foul. The little man stands tall, and he'll take a trip to the free throw line.
Great drive there. If there's anywhere you're going to make a comeback, of course, a lot of times it is on the free throw line. A great drive there, and any one of those two could have been called for the foul.
So Mine, who moments ago had a bad miss from the field, makes up for it. With that made free throw, he'll get another and a chance to make it a 5-point game.
It feels like if Lansing can keep it within 5, as the free throw there does cut it to 5, 35-30 with 5 to go, then Lansing can find a way to make something happen here. But get that thing up to 8 or 9, Lansing will have a tough battle with the patient here Crusader offense.
5-point game, as you mentioned. Michael Martin goes inside, spins, can't find a shot, and dumps it off. And now we've got an offensive foul called on Hagan. Max Hagan took it inside. Looked like from here, it was hard to tell if my view is obscured by the official, but nevertheless, I could tell by the reaction from the crowd behind me that they called a charge, and that's good news for the Lions.
By the young Crusader student body crowd here, I don't think it mattered if he was there 5 minutes and had tree roots in the ground. They weren't going to like that call. A great charge picked up by the Lions, who have picked up 2 or 3 already this game.
So the Lions have done a good job denying the baseline. If only they could put some ice on the hand of Michael Martin, they'd be in business. But now they've got the ball. They got it inside to Bailey, who nearly lost it, but goes baseline, and they're going to call him for either a travel or stepping on the inbound line. I'm not sure. Nevertheless, it's a turnover, and frustrating turn of events for the Lions.
An outstanding number here in this game. Both teams are shooting 50% from the floor, but Lansing is 2 of 10 from three-point range. 3 of 6, of course, for the Crusaders.
And the Crusaders call a timeout. 4:19 to go in the third quarter, and they're leading the Lions 35-30.
Need storage space? Need to rent a U-Haul truck? The Storage Box is the answer. Visit Storage Box today at storageboxinc.com or call Storage Box today, 913-727-1236. That's 727-1236. Lisa Reese, the Coldwell Banker, Riley and Sons, brings professionalism with honesty, integrity, loyalty, and hard work. Lisa Reese will guide you step by step through the entire process. Call or text at 913-240-6004 or visit online at lisarees.com.
So the Crusaders inbound it. Nick Cook finds Stephen Young in the backcourt. And nearly halfway through the third quarter, their lead has been trimmed to 2. Not a lot of scoring here in the beginning stages of the second half, but Martin finds some range. Got stuck in between shooting and passing and turns it over. Here comes Isaiah Grice. Grice takes it all the way, right hand. He gets the layup, and it's a 3-point game, the closest the Lions have been in almost a full quarter. But now a shot passed up by Martin, unusual. Now going into the lane is Hollings, and a foul down low on the putback. That'll put Nick Cook at the free throw line. The Lions struggled getting back in transition defense there.
That's one of the first times we've seen Kapaun look very kind of undisciplined there on offense. They got back on a fast break, but Lansing had the big guys back, and they still went ahead and drove inside. And aside from that foul, they would have got the rebound. Lansing would have been feeling pretty good, just down by 3.
First free throw is good from Nick Cook. 4-point game, 36-32. 3:40 to go in the third quarter.
A-10 varsity continues to bring games all through the Kansas State playoffs. In fact, you can watch that Baser-Linwood game right here on a10varsity.com. The second free throw is good. Back up by 5 is Kapaun, 37-32 with 3:42 left. You can also watch the next semifinal game, Harmon against Bishop Carroll, here in the 5A, or watch the 6A games also by clicking around on a10varsity.com for both boys and girls.
Joe Schneider back into the game, brings the ball up the floor. He finds Khalil Bailey, defended by Toby Baxter. Lions working it around, find Eddie Hunt in the high post, handoff to Schneider. He's going to take it up and in. Joe Schneider with 2 points. Once again, it's just a 3-point game.
Another great post play there, run with the passing of Eddie Hunt, who is such a large object there in the middle, along with Miller. They can run plays like that, and Schneider went ahead and finished.
That was an effective screen. Now Toby Baxter takes it inside himself. Tries to find the range, but can't. Now he's going to get a shot from the corner, beg your pardon. Passes it up and goes inside. Tapped around, and a rebound to Hamilton. And right now, the Lions need some size inside. Miller was down there, but couldn't get good position, and we see Chris Jones come over to the scorer's table. He's going to get back in the game.
Very frustrating for Lions fans, as Lansing has been in position with bigger bodies, but yet a smaller Crusader will sneak in for a rebound and keep the possession alive. Meanwhile, Lansing there with a travel, another turnover for the Lions. 8 for the game.
So they get the fresh bodies of Clay Young and Chris Jones inside to match up on Lick Teague and Hamilton. Miller sits down, 6 points for him, and Eddie Hunt will also have a seat after just committing that travel. The Crusaders have a 5-point lead. Hollings picks up his dribble and finds teammate Damian Ako. Now Hollings takes it inside the paint, is fouled. Basket does not go, but he will take a trip to the free throw line. That's foul number 2 of this half against Lansing, and I think they got Khalil Bailey. No, they're going to call it on Chris Jones. That's his second.
Just 2 team fouls on both teams, so Lansing does not have any problems there, but to the line again go the Crusaders, who are seem to be hitting pretty well for the line. It's 7 for 11 this game. More importantly, 11 attempts so far with the 12th on the way. Lansing with just 6.
Hollings hits the first. It's 40-34, and his second is on the way. He got it. And the margin is 7. Lions have twice trimmed it down to 3 here in the third quarter, but have been unable to get over that hump. They have 2 minutes left in this quarter to try and cut down the lead. Isaiah Grice with an open look from 3. No good. Chris Jones nearly had it, but it's pulled in by Braden Hollings.
Lansing continues to have troubles on the board. Can you believe it or not? Out-rebounded now, 25-17. Lansing out-rebounded by 8.
Now baseline shot is short. Loose ball in the corner. Shot up from Kapaun is good. And that is a devastating make. It's now a 10-point game. That possession somehow stayed alive. And Coach Rod Briggs is going to take a timeout. The Lions need to get back in this game. They have twice come close here in the second half, but now a 7-0 run in the making for Kapaun Mount Carmel.
It's kind of tough for Lansing right now. They're trying to chase the Crusaders around on the dribble, and they cannot keep up with them. They snake in for rebounds, and as we saw there on the last possession, drove around to the baseline. Nice baseline pass out for a wide open 3, and the Crusaders bury it. Dr. Max Fremmer has been Lansing's answer for chiropractic needs for decades. Whether it's back pain, carpal tunnel, or headache relief, or you have pains after a car accident, Fremmer Chiropractic is your answer. Call 913-651-DISC or visit drmaxdc.com. That's drmaxdc.com.
44-34 is your score, as you can see on your screen. A minute and a half to go in the third quarter. As Lansing once again is on the ropes. A 20-3 regular season, they breezed through Sub-State, and after winning by, I think, more than 30 against Liberal, find themselves in trouble against a team that plays in one of the, if not the best league in the state of Kansas, the City League in Wichita.
Definitely a tough league. I'm sure the Centennial League here in Topeka likes to think they're right there, but definitely a tough one as a three-pointer. Also misses 2 for 12 from the three-point strike, but Isaiah Grice there with a nice rebound and stick back to stop the bleeding for Lansing, 44-36.
So Isaiah Grice not doing the shooting from outside there, and maybe for good reason, because he's able to sky above everybody else, grab the rebound, and put it back in. Now a blocking foul called on Clay Young. A bit of protest from the other side of the arena, where the Lansing faithful have filed in, as that will send Damian Kapaun to the free throw line. He's got 3 points in the game and had recently just hit that three-pointer that put Kapaun up by 10 points. They currently lead by 8. Kapaun makes the first and now has 4 points on the game. Didn't play at all in the first half, but has seen some significant action here in the third quarter, and now he's got 5. Made both free throws. The margin is back up to 10. Grice going to pull the trigger from 3. Can't get it. Chris Jones can't get the rebound. An infortuitous bounce as it goes over the backboard, and Jones, who was in good position to get it, didn't even have the opportunity as it goes out of bounds before it hits the floor. Under a minute to go in the third quarter, and Kapaun with a chance to extend their already commanding lead. Hollings has it, dribbles left against Lucas Mine, and they get it to Hamilton on the wing, who's being trapped against the baseline by Chris Jones, and they're going to have to call a timeout to bail out Timmy Hamilton.
The Crusaders of Kapaun are looking for their third title since 1980. They won it in 1980 and 1981. Meanwhile, Lansing looking for their first ever state title. And in fact, just their second state title trip if they win this game to the title game, as they have been to the tournament 6 times in their history, but 3 times in the last 4 underneath Coach Rod Briggs.
Well, it's been a frustrating game for Isaiah Grice, who hasn't been exactly shooting poorly, but shots just not quite on the mark. He made his first three-pointer, Chad, but after that, unable to make a couple of three-pointers down the stretch here, and I think he's now 1 of 8. They've been good looks, they just haven't been falling, and he's got to keep shooting because it doesn't look like anybody else in the Lions team is going to be able to pull them out of this deficit, as of course he not only is one of the more proven shooters on the team, but has the ability to elevate and make contested shots.
Well, he leads the Lions with 53 pointers entering the state tournament. The next highest mark is mine with 16 and Young with 13. So he nearly doubles up the next two three-point shooters for the Lions. So if you're going to get back in, it is with your big gun, no matter what level you're at. And Grice has been trying. He has 13 for the game, but just 1 for 8, as you mentioned, from threes. At this point, you can't hold back. You got to keep firing him up there with his looks that he's getting.
Lions fans cheer on their team, try to get him back into this game, but first they got to get a stop on Kapaun. 35 seconds to go. Kapaun going to get an easy shot from Lichtig. It doesn't go. Chris Jones pulls down the rebound, but they're going to call it a jump ball as he and Timmy Hamilton get tied up. It'll go the way of the Lions.
It's a nice play there inside by Jones, who, like I said, I expected him to be a little bit bigger inside, and he just had some frustrating times, as have the Lions with their Crusaders, but nice aggressive play, and Lansing gets the ball back here. Desperately needs a basket to cut it down to single digits before entering the fourth quarter.
Michael Martin has been relatively quiet compared to what he did in the first half, but Kapaun's been able to get it done with other players. Now Joe Schneider trapped, and they call an offensive foul on Joe Schneider for supposedly putting his elbow into the chest of an opposing player, and Schneider, dejected, picks up his third or fourth foul there, but either way he's going to check out of the game. They're going to call it his third foul, and Devarian Sieg is going to have to come back in.
Now they have just now updated the stats here. He now has 4. He has been frustrated as well, so Schneider will get some time there to think about it. As again, we're going to see the Crusaders probably wind down the clock for the last shot and look to take a double-digit lead into the final quarter here in the semifinals.
Chris Jones out away from the basket defending Damian Acau. Beg your pardon. It's Baxter, and Baxter goes in. Contact, no call. And Lucas Mine's got 5 seconds. He's got to pass it forward. They get it to Grice, who puts up a 3. No good. Isaiah Grice had a good look there, as good of a look as you can get on a catch and shoot, but couldn't hit it. And going into the fourth quarter, Lansing trails by 10. It's going to take a heroic effort from somebody in a Lions uniform to come back and win this game.
Yeah, you're down by 7.5, and if we told you Michael Martin was going to go scoreless in the third quarter, you'd have thought Lansing would have carved into that 7-point lead. Instead, the lead has expanded to 10, so if you're a Crusader fan, you have to be feeling pretty good that your hot hand went absolutely cold. I think you only took 1 shot in that quarter, but you expand the lead up to double digits. Lansing's got a lot of work to do. They've done it before a couple times this year, but this is not an easy team here with the Crusaders, especially when you get to the Final Four. No offense to Kaw Valley League, but this is going to be quite a mountain to climb, and will be a memorable one if the Lions come back and win it.
Oh, you make a great point. The Kaw Valley League does have some good competition. Those top 4 teams in Lansing, Basehor, Linwood, Bonner Springs, and Mill Valley, all very good teams, but top to bottom, the City League has got to be the best league in the state without question. And going through that league, as Kapaun has done, even when you don't have a winning record in the league, 7-8, it's going to pay dividends. It's going to make you better, and we're seeing that right now. 8 minutes to go, beginning of the fourth quarter. Lansing going to have to dig deep. They trail by 10. Ball controlled by Stephen Young. He's defended by Lucas Mine. Tight D by Mine, who pushes him back to the midcourt line. And I think we got a 5-second call.
Sure do, and Lansing needed to do that, step up the defense and unload every round they got here, and they did that right out of the gates. Got a 5-second call. They really need to take advantage right here and get a bucket to get it down to 8 or 7.
So Stephen Young, the only underclassman on the team, the only non-junior or senior, makes a mistake there by not making progress to the basket. Now the Lions have it. Mine goes baseline, puts up a shot. Grice tried to get his hands on it for the putback, but to no effect. And here comes Kapaun Not a good possession for the Lions, trailing by 10.
Almost looked like a lob to Hunt. Either way, no dice.
Hollings has it. Braden Hollings has been a terror dribbling the basketball. And then Isaiah Grice with a body foul. That will be the 6th team foul against the Lions of this quarter. So they've got to be careful unless they want to send Kapaun to the free throw line.
We won't be giving out your mailing address, but we have a basically a push off on Martin.
Michael Martin, who is positioned near the basket, got a pass over the top but had to push Khalil Bailey to get to it. And so Kapaun giving Lansing a few chances here with a couple of turnovers in the early stages of the fourth quarter, but the Lions have to cash in. They need to start scoring some points.
I was trying to joke that no, we're not going to hand out your mailing address because you've called 4 games for Lansing. I think you called the losses for Lansing so far.
And Michael Martin just picks the pocket of Lucas Mine and gets a layup, and now the ball knocked out of bounds in the backcourt. And my apologies for whatever vex or curse I might have on the Lions.
Our engineer, Brian Reese, is going to unplug your headset here for the last 7 minutes. So that's a nice turnover there by the Lions. Well, to get back to get the ball down by 12, but a little more frustration. A full court press, even though they're up by 12, the Crusaders are still aggressive, but too aggressive as a foul is called right there.
And it's a foul on number 10, Nick Cook. Right in front of the Kapaun bench. So fouls beginning to pile up. It's 5-4. Lansing with 5 and Kapaun with 4. A moment ago I mentioned that Lansing had 6. That was in fact not true, but here come the Lions. Khalil Bailey takes it in with a nice scoop, and it rolls off the front of the rim. My goodness, how did that ball not go in?
We can take a highlight clip of that because that has summed up Lansing's day so far.
A 12-point deficit and a give and go. Timmy Hamilton finishes with the right hand. 14-point lead, 6.5 minutes to go. Here come the Lions. They need points. They're going to get Clay Young to try a 3. No good. Rebound and a foul, and things starting to get a little chippy between these two teams as Khalil Bailey desperately wanted that ball and was determined to go through Stephen Young to get it.
Clay Young hit 2 big threes in that double overtime win against Modern Springs, and he was wide open there for the 3. But as we've seen today, the shots just are not falling for Lansing now, 2 of 15 from behind the arc.
And they're going to have to call a foul on Lucas Mine there, playing defense on Stephen Young. And Lansing clearly is desperate to force the issue and force turnovers, but you can only force it so much. When you start forcefully pushing the other team around, you're going to get called for fouls, and that's what we witnessed right there. That's team foul number 7, and Kapaun is in the 1-and-1.
I'd look for more of a trapping press instead of a man-to-man press to force some more turnovers, as the Crusaders are able usually to handle the one-on-one man press that Lansing has thrown at them. First free throw there, good. It expands the lead to 15 with 6 to go. (52-36) off the 2 made free throws.
And here come the Lions. Clay Young has it. Gets it baseline to Lucas Mine, dribbling to his right. Now goes into the paint, puts up a runner, and they're going to get a blocking foul against Kapaun. So Lansing with an opportunity to break the scoreless streak they've been on. They haven't scored yet in the fourth quarter. Still 6 minutes to go, but the deficit has increased from 10 to 16.
Yeah, Lansing really needs to hit their free throws, only right around 70% from the year. First one is up and good. And they need to go ahead and hit that as Lucas Mine averages 7 points a game, and he can get a couple here, which will help Lansing stop the bleeding, put on the tourniquet, and hopefully start a little run of their own.
Well, and of course, when you get a made basket, you get a chance to set up a defense, and that's what they'll do here with the substitution. So a strategic substitution occurring now as Isaiah Grice going to come out of the game for a moment at least. And Devarian Sieg comes in.
I think it still may put length of Young on the inbounder or somebody a little bit longer, just to make a little trouble there for the entry pass.
And Mount Carmel just does break the midcourt barrier with time to spare. Nick Cook has the basketball defended by Clay Young. Now in the corner to Martin, a steal attempt by Bailey, and now a loose ball on the baseline, and we've got a travel called on Timmy Hamilton. Michael Martin went baseline, had it knocked away for a moment. Hamilton able to pick it up, but as he made a move to the basket, traveled. So the Lions force a turnover and have the basketball.
Grace checks back into the game. If there's going to be a way Lansing gets back into it, it is going to have to be Grace getting hot from the outside, as well as, honestly, probably the worst 5 minutes of the Crusaders this season.
Well, that turnover gives a glimmer of hope. 5.5 minutes to go. Lucas Mine just barely caught that ball and kept it from going out of bounds. Clay Young thought about the three, dribbles in, finds Schneider. Good help defense by Kapaun. And a turnover by Joe Schneider. Here comes Michael Martin. He's going to take it all the way. Rejected by Isaiah Grice. It hit the bottom of the basket. It's going to go out of bounds. It's off Lansing, off the block by Grice. So Kapaun will inbound underneath their own basket. Now Sieg, who's been checking in and out all game for defensive situations like this one, comes in for Schneider. They get it over the top to Cook as he dribbles left against Clay Young. Now they hand it off to Young. Young takes it inside, up and under, and it drops. Count the basket. Stephen Young makes an impossible shot, and the lead is back up to 16, a chance to make it 17.
Well, I don't want anyone clicking out of your browser window, but if there is a big dagger there, that would have probably been it. An acrobatic shot that may or may not have gone in. Instead, it does drop. Lansing is now down by 16, possibly even 17 with the free throw.
Free throw on the way, and it is good. If I may just make a comment real quick, Chad, I'd say that perhaps the student section of Kapaun needs a lecture or a public service announcement on sportsmanship. Some really nasty things being said behind us, as they have extended their lead to 17 points, and the Lions will try to chip into that. 5 minutes to go. Joe Schneider pulls up from 7 feet and makes a nice little bank shot. Lansing now with their 4th point of the 4th quarter. Martin dribbles inside, has to pick it up. And the ball is in the hands of Toby Baxter.
It's a good thing there's no closed captioning here on the internet here, eh?
That is a fortunate thing, especially for the faint of heart. Now Cook forces the issue but hands it off. Kapaun clearly inclined to run some time off the clock, and now they'll get a foul against Lucas Mine. It's strange that the referees would ask Lansing to play defense for, on 50 seconds and then call a touch foul like that, but nevertheless they do get Lucas Mine for a foul.
This is really trouble for Lansing because Martin, as we've seen, can put on a dribble exhibition. As we saw in that first half, he almost looked like a senior against 8th graders out there. No offense to our Lions, but the way he was dribbling, running out clock, he looks very poised, and he's able to run clock. Didn't make the free throw, as now they are 13 of 18 still from the line, but look for more of Martin and them to go ahead and dribble around and stall some time on each possession.
And a foul by Nick Cook, who came up out of nowhere and tried to take it away from Lucas Mine. And going back to Michael Martin, yeah, he's got some nifty moves, but a la Derrick Rose, unable to make his free throws, and we all know how that happened and how that turned out for Derrick Rose circa 2008.
Yes, and as well as Chris Douglas Roberts, I believe, if that's the game you're referring to.
That is the game.
Yes.
This game not quite as close as that one, though. 15-point deficit for Lansing. Under 4 minutes to go in the game, and a turnover. Lucas Mine got it poked away from behind. And Braden Hollings takes his time bringing it up. As they continue to burn clock, they find Timmy Hamilton and then get it to Toby Baxter, who's working on Joe Schneider. Baxter has some success dribbling to his right and then gets it out to Max Hagan. And Hagan nearly throws it away. Ball knocked out for a moment, but retained. And the Crusaders doing a good job of just playing keep away, as now this possession has been going on for about 40 seconds.
Well, we talked about their ability to spread the floor, and of course, when they got any type of lead here, this is what we've been seeing, and they may be content just to go in on and shooting it. And even though he does pop a shot, it almost fell, but of course, the rebound back to Kapaun.
Under 3 minutes to go. Kapaun has had the basketball for about a full minute now, and Clay Young just doing his best to stop the clock, and Michael Martin, a little bit chippy, absorbs the foul and delivers some punishment of his own.
About the only way they're going to get back any hope is to just do the old hack and hope they miss at the line. But unfortunately for the Lions, who were touted as the bigger and taller and everything else on the rebounding edge for this game, they are being out-rebounded 32-21 in this game. And the other key stat, 19 free throws now attempted by the Crusaders, while Lansing has just mustered 8.
Michael Martin has just missed that free throw, but of course free throws, even if Kapaun was missing every single free throw they attempted, the fact that they've just been controlling the ball throughout the entire fourth quarter, it's really been just a means of getting to the end of this game. So now frantically the Lions bring up the floor. Lucas Mine puts up a 3 and it falls. Lucas Mine puts up a desperation 3, and it's down to a 13-point game, but you have to think that it's probably too little too late. 56-43, Lansing trails.
Well, you never know. Martin has missed his last 2 free throws, and while they have shot a lot of free throws, as we talked about the Memphis game, sometimes if you miss a couple more, maybe you start to feel a little bit of the collar. If Lansing can hit another bucket or two, as we have seen other games where a 13-point lead with 2.5 with the 3-point line can be overcome. So a lot of work to do here, but Lansing, what else you got to do? Try some threes, hack them, and see what happens. Locally owned Century Van Lines provides professional moving and storage services. Moving your home, your office, or college student, Century Van Lines can help. Call Century Van Lines at 913-651-3600 anytime. 913-651-3600, or visit their website at centuryvanlines.com.
So as you mentioned, Chad, 56-43 is the score. 2:38 to go here in the fourth quarter. Kapaun Mount Carmel on top of Lansing. The Crusaders from Wichita have put together a very good game from start to finish, with some sterling offensive efficiency in the first half, and then some generally good defense and pretty good strategy here in the fourth quarter of just playing keep away.
Lansing really needs to crank up the pressure in the full court, get some type of turnover and a quick bucket to get the hopes back up.
Michael Martin brings it up against Khalil Bailey, and they're going to call that foul against Khalil Bailey. Nominal contact, but nevertheless it will stop the clock, which might work in favor of Lansing. And as you mentioned, Michael Martin, despite shooting the ball very well from the field, has not been so great from the free throw line, especially here in the second half.
Lansing bringing in 4 players, so you might start to see a lot of offensive and defensive switching here, depending on how they want to trap. Hopefully get the ball back on offense with a new bigger size inside as Miller comes in, and Young, Schneider, Grice, and hope to make something happen.
I'll say this, you've got to tip your hat to Coach Briggs for really fighting tooth and nail here. He's not giving up on this game, not at all, and it is a 15-point game, but he is making those substitutions, and he's encouraging his players, and he's still, as we can see over there, working with the official.
Briggs, as I mentioned before, you got Lansing. Lansing only had 3 trips to the state tournament in Briggs' tenure, 91-34. 20-3 this year, 18-6 with a state appearance last year, and 19-4 also in 2008, 2009 with a state appearance that year. So Briggs has a loaded team coming back next year. They hope to come back here one more time, and he's doing everything he can in this game to get him right back in it, but a lot of work to do as Schneider goes to the line for free throws.
Schneider will go for a 1-and-1. Foul was committed by Michael Martin. Schneider hits the first, and it's interesting that Kapaun would have the gall or the stone, so to speak, to initiate a full court press when they're up by 15 points and risk fouling and stopping the clock. And there, Although Schneider missed the free throw, you can imagine what happens if Lansing pulls down an offensive rebound and gets a three-pointer, a 4-point possession. And the officials are really tightening down now. That was not a foul in the last quarter or really any time before these last 4 minutes of the game. And we could be here for a little while longer as the clock is stopped once again. The good news here is that the clock is stopped, and it does give Lansing an opportunity to substitute some players.
That's certainly what I would do. You got enough guys on the bench for Lansing and pretty good ones, so go ahead and bring some guys on defense, just hack them and just hope that maybe you hit 1 out of 2 from the line. Maybe there's an 0 for trip or something, and then the Lansing can get hot, start to just slowly chip away and make this 2 minute, 24 seconds last another 15. So you're right. Let's get another bottle of water. Here we go.
Braden Hollings able to hit the first free throw, and he's got one more on the way. It's good. A 16-point lead. Lucas Mine working once again against the full court press. Hands off to Grice, who thought about the three. Mine for three from the corner. And Lucas Mine starting to heat up. He's got his third three-pointer of the game, his second of the fourth quarter. And once again, it's a 13-point game. So Lansing, no way are they giving up, and it's 2:15 left in the fourth quarter. Really, probably only 20 seconds have elapsed off the game clock in the last 5 or 6 minutes. So this game could carry on, and you just wonder, can Lansing hit enough three-pointers, and can Kapaun miss enough free throws to really make this a competitive game as the clock hits 0-0.
Kapaun is hitting 67 from the line, so not actually outstanding, not exactly bullet point bullseye from the line, but they have shot a lot. But yeah, if they can hit 1 out of 2, Lansing hits a 3, hits a 2 inside. And as you mentioned, kind of surprising they are doing the press. I wouldn't object to Kapaun doing a soft press just to kind of make him twist and turn, take 5 seconds extra off the clock to run some time out. But it looks like Kapaun's actually a little more aggressive with that press, and Lansing's able to take advantage of that by getting the 3 in the corner.
One thing's for sure, you can't accuse Kapaun of point shaving. You see him intent on scoring as much as they can and limiting Lansing, so playing hard to the final whistle, which is admirable of both teams. So now Kapaun inbounds against pressure from Lansing. Ball is knocked away for a moment, retained, and now finally a foul called in the backcourt. Lucas Mine committing the foul. That is number 4 against Mine, so he'll have to be careful, especially considering the fact that he's had the hot hand for the Lions here in the fourth quarter.
It's too bad there's a foul back there, because Mine, they had already run off 6 seconds on that possession, and they were full 94 feet away. So maybe if he could just kind of run alongside him, he could have got a 10-second call. But anyway, back to the line, go the Crusaders.
This is Toby Baxter, and he makes the first free throw, pushing it once again to a 14-point game. A little bit over 2 minutes to go, and once again, Coach Briggs using the dead ball to bring in his offensive players, Isaiah Grice and Joe Schneider.
We mentioned the game down I-70 here with the 4A state tournament, the boys, and Baser was down by 10 there at the end of the first half. But with 2 minutes and 14 seconds left, the Baser-Linwood Bobcats up 43-42 on number 1 undefeated Pratt.
And a miscue there as Clay Young throws it over the head of Lucas Mine. And that is a 15-point margin at this point with over 2 minutes to go. Kapaun has it once again and got a foul called on Devarian Sieg, who appeared to be doing nothing more than playing defense, but they get him with the foul. And of course, this just gives Lansing another opportunity to make a substitution, so they will do that.
M&M Specialty Services, LLC, specializes in protecting your people with the best in quality and affordability in personal protection products, from head to toe and beyond. Well, let us know how we can be of service to you. 913-705-0690 or visit mmspecialtyservices.com. And as we noted, speaking of MM, Michael Martin leads the all-game scores with 22. And another free throw here by the Crusaders. Expand the lead with 2:02 left to 64 to 17.
Tying their biggest lead of the game. And again, the full court pressure being applied without pause. And Lansing able to break it. Mine's going to pull up, take the three. Can't hit it this time. Rebound, Michael Miller. Nice spin move, but can't get the finish. Crashing the boards is Lucas Mine. But now Kapaun's got it once again, and Miller's going to commit the foul. Minute 45 to go. Just the second foul on Miller. Right now the team foul situation, or the personnel foul, is 2 for Isaiah Grice, 4 for Joe Schneider, 4 for Lucas Mine, 3 for Clay Young, and as I mentioned, just 2 for Mike Miller.
Lansing will presumably conclude their season. Well, they have tomorrow's game, but they will move to 20-4. I'll have to check the records, but I believe that might be the most wins in Lansing history, with another game tomorrow, third place game. We'll give you the time here in just a second, as you can watch that game tomorrow as well.
And a collision in the backcourt, but no whistle. Kapaun's got it, and Michael Martin's just going to dribble around, and he's fouled by Isaiah Grice. It's a 19-point game, and Isaiah Grice committing that foul. It's his third. So it looks like Kapaun will move on to play the winner of our next game, Harmon or Bishop Carroll. And then, of course, the loser of that game will participate in the runner-up game for third place, and they will face Lansing.
That game can be seen here at 2 p.m. on 810varsity.com. Last year, Lansing also made the third place game, but lost and stumbled to St. Thomas Aquinas 47-34. But a steal and a layup goes in for the Crusaders, expanding the lead to 70-47, 1:15 left.
Schneider puts up the shot, no good, but Mike Miller sticking with it, has the rebound, puts it in, and it's a 21-point game. Miller, I think, had his first basket of the second half, 8 points for him.
We had planned to have Coach Briggs on after the show. Now, of course, in such, I'm not going to say devastating, but it is disheartening, as Lansing was the number 1 coming in. We'll have to see if Briggs will still be on the air, but we'll let you know as we go and send our guys to the locker room, but we'll see how long it takes to get Coach Briggs, if he does come at all.
70-49 has been an ugly fourth quarter, as Lansing has done their best to stay in the game, and that, of course, is involved committing a lot of fouls and stopping the clock, and then coming up the floor and attempting threes, but those threes, for the most part, haven't dropped, and Kapaun's been able to incrementally build up this lead. It was just 10 coming into the fourth quarter, so Kapaun posting 24 points, and Grice going to cut into that with a three. If it goes in, and it does not, Miller tracks down the rebound, spin move, shot up, no good. And a rebound finally to Kapaun. A jump ball is Damian Acau swings his elbows around, and instead of being called for foul, he will be rewarded by having a foul called against, it appears to be Lucas Mine.
That's where these games kind of get out of hand. You know, Lansing just plays straight up. They probably lose by 12, 14. But now you look on paper, you go collect refresh, and you see now a 20-plus loss for the Lions, that people around the state will widen their eyes as to what the score was, when in essence it could have been probably a 62-49 type of ball game had Lansing not tried to foul every 3 seconds, jack up some threes. But that's what happens when you get behind, and it's a do-or-die situation in a tournament. You got to go for it, and sometimes the final score is not always indicative of how close it was.
You just wonder what happened to Lansing after the first quarter. They had the game tied up. The offense was clicking well. Things were working well, inside and outside. What went wrong? And, you know, obviously once you get down, it's a whole other thing trying to come back. But you just wonder what happened after the first quarter.
Well, I think they had troubles with their spreading the floor. Martin created a lot of problems, and a couple other kids were able to penetrate real easily for the Crusaders, but really 38-24 on the boards really jumps out at you. And of course that dribble and drive to the basket, the ability to drive, 26-32 from the line. That's right, 26-32. As they close it out here, Kapaun moves to the championship game, 72-49 over Lansing.
And that'll do it, 72-49, as you mentioned, Chad. At the end of the game, Joseph Henry got a chance to get in and play a little bit, the junior, so he'll be back next year. But we will have to see if Coach Briggs will come on for the post-game show with us. And, of course, we will also see what will happen tomorrow with Lansing in the runner-up game and who they'll be playing, be it Harmon or Bishop Carroll. You might have just heard chants from Kapaun yelling, "We want Carroll." We'll see if they get Carroll later on in the following game. So for now, as you can imagine, a stunning loss for the Lansing Lions, coming into this game as the #1 seed and really putting together a tremendous regular season. And having played very well on Wednesday, it looked like they had everything going well and that they were going to have a good chance at moving on to the state final. But nevertheless, they will not. They will play once again for the third place title here in the state of Kansas in the 5A division.
Yeah, they just seem to be more battle tested. They had a little bit different. They had some matchup problems for Lansing, and Lansing seems to need a little bit more battle tested. The KVL is what it is. Really is kind of baser, and Mill Valley, and no offense to our other schools, when you get to the state level, you don't get to see as many looks as you do in the Cobb Valley. And of course, being a 4A league, aside from Mill Valley, Lansing is a 5A playing in a 4A league. So they did try to go out and schedule with Free State a couple other non-cons, if you will, non-league games that hopefully gave them some different looks. But today it was just a quicker team that spread the floor. Michael Martin, 26 points, 3 three-pointers, as the Crusaders just seem to be one step quicker than the Lions, who might have been bigger, might have been longer, maybe even a little bit more athletic, but just a little bit better shooting out of the Crusaders. Like I mentioned, from the line, 28 free throws made, and they actually out-rebounded the Lions 39-24, a 15 differential. Pretty much no matter where you look at it, unfortunately for the Lions, they were beaten in about every category.
And so obviously shooting free throws is really the difference of really how this game got out of hand, or how it came to be a 23-point loss. Kapaun went to the free throw line a lot in the fourth quarter, and after a couple of misses early, they actually ended up shooting, I think, making 24 of 26. Not sure if that number is right, but if that's the case, that's a pretty good number. And of course, the struggles for Lansing included the fact that they went 2 of 11 from 3 in the second half, 4 of 20 on the game, and really both those makes were by Lucas Mine, and they were here in the last 2.5 minutes. So Lansing unable to really get the ball rolling, so to speak, and get it into the hoop, really at crucial times. It's just amazing to think that at one point, this is just a 3-point game 2 different times in the third quarter, and how it slipped away so quickly and so suddenly is just baffling to me. And it's going to give the Lions a lot to think about, but they can't think about it too long because they'll be back tomorrow for the third place game against the winner of the loser of Harmon and Bishop Carroll.
Third place game is always a tough one, especially when you're the Lions. You came in, you had some state title hopes, of course, and then you look at the bracket and you can't help but do it. But number 3 Highland Park and number 2 seed Goddard both got beat last night. So now you look across the bracket, number 6 and 7 Carroll and Harmon by seed. Looks to be like, hey, this is our year. We're the number 1 team. We advanced very easily. And now if we do win this game, we got ourselves a 6 and 7 seed. No offense to Harmon or Carroll, especially some of the talent on those teams. But this does happen. I hate to reference another KU, especially if you're not a KU fan, but a memorable game that we all kind of remember, the 97 season, where the Jayhawks had just 1 loss, came in with a bigger team. They had everything, the outside shooting, everything you want. They faced a much quicker, smaller Arizona team that I think ended up having 3 or 4 NBA players, but is really guard heavy, and they spread the floor. They're just quicker to all the rebounds. It's the most frustrating game to watch, and as we know as KU fans, Ian, I'm sure you remember that game too, one of the biggest ones in history that we remembered in the tournament, that it felt like it was your tournament to lose or your tournament to win, and in the end, that the breaks just didn't fall for that day. And same thing here today as well, as it just seemed to be a quicker lineup that just presented matchup problems for Lansing.
So with that, once again, the final score is 72-49. We're going to check and see if we'll go to the Lions Den or if we'll get Coach Rod Briggs on here in just a moment. So hang with us for just a second, and we'll figure that out here in just a moment.
Yeah, we might be trying to see if Coach wants to talk. hold on one second. I just apologize for the live radio element here, but yeah.
And so as Chad figures that out once again.
And Brian Reese is going to run to the locker room to see if Coach Briggs does indeed want to come on. Who knows what the mood is in the locker room. Obviously, we know it's not very cheery right now, but if Coach does want to come out and talk or not, as Brent Lager from the 11 Word Times also goes with Brian Reese to the locker room to see if Coach Briggs will join us here. So thanks for coming here for this tournament. Fortunately, I think we all kind of booked our time slot for 6:15, but now we got 2 p.m.er. What are your thoughts, Ian? You've seen them. I joked around, and I know that it's more than joking that you have seen a couple losses by Lansing as well as some nice wins, too. What were your thoughts in this game as to overall maybe why Lansing tumbled?
You know, I think the fact that Isaiah Grice is the main scorer is both, obviously it's a good thing, but I think part of the problem is that he plays away from the basket a little bit too much. I think that sometimes when he's cutting towards the basket, that's when he's at his best because he's got great body control. In the open floor, when you see Isaiah Grice on a fast break and he's got somebody to beat, more often than not, he's going to be able to do it, and he's going to make an acrobatic move and make the shot, and that's uncommon. When you got a kid who can do that, you know, you got to make sure you're getting him to the rim. But the problem is that when you fall behind, you know, the fact is that he's still one of your best shooters, again, because I mentioned earlier, because he can elevate and get the basketball over the outstretched arm of a defender. You know, it's tough. You got to have him shoot from the outside, but ideally, especially early on in the game when the game is, you know, effectively tied and close and there's a lot of time, I think Isaiah Grice is best served to a team by attacking the basket. And then after that, you know, this Lansing team has all sorts of, it's got great depth and really guys who play hard and play their roles very well, but they just don't seem to play very well from behind. I mean, not a lot of teams do play well from behind. That's just a fact, because when you play from behind, you've got, you know, you got the deck stacked against you, but one more outside shooter and, you know, a 10-point deficit might not have seemed so insurmountable.
They seemed to early on. I thought they kind of took some quick shots in the possessions. Speaking of comebacks here, and Caw Valley, number 1 seeds going down up the road here, nice 70 in overtime. Pratt and Baser Linwood are going at it. Baser leads by 4, a game you can watch live right now on 810varsity.com. Free throw by Baser, as I am watching it here from Topeka. Free throw up and good. Baser up by 5 with 21 ticks, looking to advance to the state title game. So, but yeah, this seemed like they took a lot of quick, hurried shots in that first half you and I talked about as you watched the Crusaders work it around and use their quickness and such. So I think we've about broken this game down. That's just kind of what happens. As a drive-by, Pratt goes in. I hate to call the action here, since you can just click over and watch it yourself. But it's a thriller. Be sure to go click on it here. As a Class 4A semifinal, we may see a Caw Valley League team vie for the championship, possibly against Ottawa. Of course, you can watch that championship game tomorrow live on 810varsity.com. First of all, speaking of 810varsity.com, of course, follow live scores, brackets, and watch games online at 810varsity.com, the new home for Kansas City and hopefully the state of Kansas high school sports. Over 400 broadcasts this school year, live or archive. Watch the games at 810varsity.com. In time for Kansas State High School public service message while we might wait for Coach Briggs. The Kansas State High School Activities Association is a nonprofit organization supported by more than 758 member schools. Keisha and its member schools promote, develop, and direct interscholastic activities to contribute to a well-rounded and meaningful educational experience. A public service message from your Kansas State High School Activities Association and 810varsity.com. I see Ian's also watching this Baser game. By our cyber sports, it's 53-49. I'm trying to find the score off the screen, but we're going to get word here if we have Coach or not, and that way we can wrap it up or move on as St. Thomas Aquinas Saints girls look to play here, as you're probably watching, actually looking at the scoreboard, against, familiarly, Cape and Mount Carmel in the semis, so it could be a nice 3-hour swing for the Crusaders and their fans and their families. So.
And one thing I'll mention is that, you know, both teams, there was a fair amount of people here, both from Cape and Mount Carmel and also Lansing. Obviously, we had the situation of being placed right in front of Cape and Mount Carmel, so we heard a lot of these sort of pro-Capen chants, especially towards the end of the game, that really, you know, sort of summed up just how much fan support they had, so they had a pretty tremendous deal of fan support, which obviously is helped by the fact that they also had their girls team here competing, and so good showing from their fans, but also good showing from the Lansing fans. Unfortunately, they'll be a little bit let down by the fact that they won't be playing in the state title game tomorrow, but they do, of course, have the opportunity of taking home third place with a win over either, once again, Harmon or Bishop Carroll.
Yeah, and speaking of that Baser game, it's a final now. The Baser Linwood Bobcats have advanced 55-49 in overtime. You can watch the next two games in 4A, the girls and boys semifinals, both featuring the Ottawa Cyclones, right here on 810varsity.com. Yeah, at 20-4, it's not a season you can go and possibly 21-4. Not a season you can hang your head on if you're Lansing. And if, looking ahead, Lansing's the cupboard's still not bare. Eddie Hunt, 6'7", he's a sophomore. Of course, you have Darius Mathis and some other guys that could have probably started in some teams this year, but you also look at the starting lineup. You have Clay Young, you have Lucas Mine, and of course Khalil Bailey and Joe Schneider. So the cupboard's not bare at all for Lansing, and possibly another beefy record, and comes on in next year to the state with 2 straight state appearances underneath their belt, that they could maybe make another run back here and see what happens with the experience of being at state underneath their belt. But I think that was kind of the thing that really stung for Lansing, was that they were experienced. They came in here, they had a senior-laden crew with Grice and Miller and Jones, and they had been here and done that. They played 3 games here last year, and winning that first game, I think they felt pretty darn good, and the bracket kind of broke open on the bottom. That looking ahead, this could have been Lansing's year to bring home their first state title, but things just happen. So we're going to just kind of pause here and see if Coach Briggs is going to come on. Otherwise, we will probably wrap it up here in just a few minutes.